Now, this fits the theme of the biennial, which makes reference to the beginning of a new cycle, in this case, a new century. Moreover, it makes reference to the end of a smaller cycle, the new century's first lustrum in Latin. And that's a word that's rarely used in English. It's considered obscure, and because we don't use that word, we don't see a significance in 5-year periods of time. But in ancient Rome, a lustrum was associated with a census. Every 5 years, a census would be taken, and this was followed by a ritual of ceremonial purification. So the lustrum is similar in some ways to the biblical commandments, which specify that every 7th year is a sabbatical year, and in that year, farmland has to remain fallow so that it recovers its fertility, and debts have to be forgiven. And from this, we get the academic sabbatical, during which time our intellects are supposed to recover their fertility as well. And the Bible also makes every 50th year, that is the end of 7 7-year cycles, is a jubilee year in which properties are restored and servants are emancipated. Now, such cycles, such as the keeping of the Sabbath day, the lustrum, the sabbatical and jubilee years, provide opportunities to pause, to take stock and contemplate our situation. It's precisely that capacity for reflection that we've lost because we've moved to a 24/7, 365 society. What we've done is we've replaced natural rhythms with logarithms. It may not be feasible to ask for a sabbatical from technological innovation and change, but it's certainly what we need. Now, another manifestation of the number 8 comes to mind. It was the year that I turned 8, 1965, ancient history. A television cartoon called The Eighth Man aired in the US for the first time. It was a Japanese anime, dubbed in English. The series opened with a government agent being gunned down by gangsters. He was fatally wounded, but fortunate enough to be found by a scientist who was able to transfer his mind into a body of a robot. And he was especially lucky because the scientist tried to do this 7 times before and failed. So he became the superhero known as the Eighth Man. The concept of a human mind existing within a robotic body is an interesting metaphor for human existence within a technological environment. And it suggests the possibility of new forms of consciousness. Walter Ong argues that human consciousness evolves, and it does so as it internalizes new modes of human communication. We can expect that the internalization of digital media will lead to new forms of consciousness, and hopefully forms of consciousness better able to cope with our technological systems. We can certainly see that we lose the homogenizing effect of print, and we have many different types of consciousness, alternate modes of consciousness coming into being in the late 20th and now in the early 21st century. Moreover, McLuhan argued that the old linear mode of thought could not meet the demands of this new environment, and that we need to develop new forms of pattern recognition to make order out of chaos. Pattern recognition, along with an internalization of the more recent concept of multitasking, would be integral to a new type of digital consciousness. I've alluded to the fact that the electronic media remove many repressions, and I also think part of the new consciousness involves a confrontation and ultimately an integration with the unconscious mind. We have been forced into confrontation through television, movies, and now the internet with the monsters, with our dreams and nightmares, but while fully conscious. Certainly, our survival as a species may depend on our ability to raise our consciousness to the next level, perhaps to a new form of collective or networked consciousness. But this is speculation, of course, and ultimately, the magic 8 ball says, reply hazy, try again. There are limits to our knowledge, limits to our ability to predict the consequences of our actions, and especially the consequences of our adoption of all these new digital technologies. Until we evolve radically new modes of consciousness, I believe that our best hope lies in what Neil Postman called media ecology education. We need to understand how we use technology to manipulate and modify our environments. We need to understand how we use technology to mediate between ourselves and our environments. We need to understand how we use technology as environments and how we are in turn shaped and influenced by these environments that we have made. Media ecology is, in my opinion, our best hope for error checking. And with this, my bite is complete. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to invite Mr. Salvador Guerrero to come up to the head table to give Lance the acknowledgement of the organizers of the Bienal.
Muchísimas gracias.